Kitty's house until the following. I didn't go back. I didn't go to Penn State with him until the second. I guess at the beginning of.
Did you have
He had been working and he skipped one semester because he was going to transfer to Penn State, which he did.
Okay.
And Dr. Duncan became his advisor. He majored in physics, and he was the head of the School of Physics and became a very personal friend of all the students that majored in physics.
Okay, Mom, you gotta let me just lead this, cause you go off on tangents. What, did you have a honeymoon?
I went to Washington for 2 days.
Washington,
We came
D.C.?
back on the train. We had no money left because we had spent it all. And I went to a person's house that was a good friend in York, and called my brother-in-law to come and get us because we had no money even for the train
Oh,
to come home.
jeez. Wait, where did you stay in Washington, D.C.?
At a hotel right near where I lived. I lived on New Hampshire Avenue, which is like a spoke. And the hotel was right across the street on, I guess, between 15th and 16th Street. It was, if I remember right, it was on W Street, Northwest.
So you go to a hotel for 2 days. You don't have enough money to come home. Your brother has to come down to York to get you.
Yes.
Now he goes off to college then?
No, he waited until February. And then he went back. We went to Penn State.
But you.
He had been up at Penn State talking to Dr. Duncan, and they figured out what he would take.
Okay, but
He
Mom,
walked. Would you please?
Mom, no, because I don't care about that stuff. What, you get married, you go your honeymoon, you come back. Did you live together in Lancaster?
Yes, at my sister Kitty's house.
So as you and Dad were living in that house that I've been to. Okay, so you live there, and then you go to college together.
Then, no, I stayed in Lancaster
Okay.
for the first year.
That's what I asked
And
you.
then I went up to Penn State to live with him, and
Okay,
we
so
got an apartment in what was a chicken coop that one of the professors had made into, changed into apartments. We were right in back of the bus station, and if you remember when bus drivers used to let their motor running between stops, so, I kept the windows shut because it was all the fumes.
wait, it was an actual chicken coop.
It was he took the chicken coop and made it into apartments. My apartment was maybe the size of this part, and not quite as big as this living room and sunroom.
Wow.
And we had a bathroom that you had to back into because it was so narrow.
You couldn't turn around. Hey, before you get going, now, so you're living at Kitty's house. Were you working when you were living?
Yes, I had the job with a visiting nurse.
And he didn't have a job?
He went to work at Armstrong until he went back to school in February.
Okay, then you all go up to Penn State, and do you work up in Penn State?
I stayed in Lancaster for a year, and then I went to Penn State the following September, and I got a job there as a visiting nurse in the morning, and in the afternoon I worked at the school. I forget what the department was called, but I sent out bills.
Okay, before you get... So there was a year, though, when he was in school and you were in Lancaster.
Yes,
Was he writing you letters every day then, too?
yes.
Okay, and then he gets out of school, like how long did it take him to get out of school? 2 years at Penn State?
No, he was at Penn State. Dr. Duncan, the head of the
Jeez,
physics
Dr.
department,
Duncan.
became, he was very close to all the students. In fact, he was the first person I told I was pregnant. Within the day, I got pregnant the day he graduated from a master's program. So he finished the undergraduate, stayed there for a year, and you know, I'm all.
Okay, let me help you.
screwed. Would
Let
you
me
be-
help you. I'll help
Would
you.
you please be quiet for a
You're
minute?
just.
When I first went back, when I first went to Penn State to be with him, up at, we lived in Phillipsburg, and I went to work as the head of the pediatric department, or the head nurse, whatever you want to call it, and I taught peds there for a year. We lived in an apartment. I guess I was there for 2 years, and then I decided I would move over to State College, and so that he didn't have to drive. We bought a secondhand car, and he used to drive down the mountain in the snow and ice to go to school. The only time I really saw him was in the evening when we had dinner, and he would allot me a half an hour for dinner. Then he would go in to what we called the study, and he would spend that time getting ready for the next day at school. He did finish the undergraduate program and stayed at Penn State for his graduate. He got a master's in physics. We had lots of friends because they were all former vet, they were veterans from the war. We were very close. They became like a family. When I left the job at Phillipsburg General, is when I went to Penn State to live with him, over there. He lived in Phillipsburg with me on the second floor of this house of this old woman. It was in poor condition when we moved in. We painted every wall, sanded the
You were telling me about that.
floors, sanded the floors, painted all the rooms. The kitchen didn't even have a sink when we first moved there, and I used to do the dishes in the bathroom. John, he agreed to stoke the fire up in the morning and to bend it down at night for
Okay.
her to save money. We
Okay.
didn't have much hot water. We used to take a bath together
Oh, jeez.
because that was all the hot water there was. The back of the wall that the tub was against was coming apart, and the woman says, "Oh, that's been like that for years." So we found out we could take a regular window shade and put it on the, somehow attach it to the wall and then plaster over it, which we did.
Okay, Mom.
At
Mom.
the end of the first year that we lived
Jeez.
there, we decided that I would move to State College with him, that we would both move over there.
This place that you're talking about, where,
don't know.
where, okay, so there's Lancaster and then there's this Phillipsburg?
No, this is in Phillip. If you would erase all that.
No, I don't want to erase anything. Where is Phillipsburg? I don't even know
It's
where.
up in Pennsylvania. It's like a poor.
How far from Lancaster is it?
It's like a half an hour from Penn State.
So why would you pick that place?
Because of Phillipsburg General Hospital, where I could get a job.
Okay, but then he would commute back and forth.
Yes, we bought this second-hand Chevrolet from my brother Bill, and
so
he drove back and forth with another guy every day in the winter over the snow, and he did that for 2 years, and then I decided that I would quit that job and go over to Penn State and get something, where I could work in my profession.
Okay, Mom, is it because at Penn State when he was first there, it wasn't a big, was State College not that big a city? Or?
No, it had 10,000 people who lived there, and there were 10,000 students at Penn State, so there was an equal number. It's not like today. Penn State has grown.
So there was.
It's State College, is what the place is called.
So
it has grown as the number. There's probably 100,000 people living there now.
Yeah, I know. Let's not go into what it is now. Okay, so when you couldn't get a job there. That's why
I got a job at Penn State.
But at first you couldn't get a job there.
I didn't even try.
Why?
I wanted to work in my profession. I wanted to teach peds, which I had learned to do.
So you are just okay. So then Dad goes off to school, and then so he graduates, and you're pregnant the same day he graduates.
He graduated in the undergraduate program. He stayed there for a year. Year-round to get his master's. The day, I know it was the 15th of May, that I got pregnant, the day that he graduated from Penn State's master program. The first person that I used to walk over to my apartment for lunch, and I often walked with Dr. Duncan, who went to the some kind of a club close to me for his lunch. And I remember that I told him I was pregnant, and it was the first person actually that I told. And Daddy was going to go for his PhD, and he was accepted at I guess at George Washington, a school in the district, and we went down there. We rented an apartment, and then the people from North American came to interview all these students that were graduating that year, and this was 51, and he got a job. He was offered a job in California. So he had to make up his mind whether he wanted to go on for a PhD or make money, and he decided that a PhD wasn't that important to him.
Okay, so but is it part of it because you were pregnant though?
No.
Well, why not? He had to pay for a family. He had to have.
And I don't really remember only the fact that we could go to California, have a job, and take, I guess you could say make money. And so he chose to go with North American.
Okay, no wait. Mom, you have to let me do this or we're not going to do it at all, okay? Because you just start talking and you just ramble on. So I need to keep you in the right direction. No, okay, so during this time when Dad's going to school, are you impressed with his, does he do really well in school?
He was an honor student. He was not, some of the other guys stayed, especially Joe Lanuti, stayed there and got his, no, Joe Lanuti didn't take any to a university there, and he got his PhD, and he stayed there as a teacher.
Okay, I don't care about Joe Lanuti. Tell us more about Dad. Like, you said he's an honor student? Like, where was he in his class? Do you know?
No.
But his professor...
Well, just let me finish
Okay.
something. When the veterans went to school after their service, they were the kind of student who demanded that the teacher teach them something. And they never took any time off. If a teacher thought about taking a day off or something, not appearing in class, they would all complain. So, and they probably improved the teaching performance of their instructors, because they demanded that the teacher teach them something. They never missed class. We lived on my salary plus the money that the veterans received to go to school. When we were at Penn State, what we did for entertainment was we had all these friends that were also married, or not all of them, but we had dinner at each other's homes, and that was the way we went out to dinner. The other thing that we did, we went to the dugout in State College, and for a quarter, you could get a quart of beer, and so that was part of our entertainment. That was it. When we got a car, we did drive to Lancaster for holidays.
So what was it like going to Lancaster for holidays? Was his dad still alive?
Did he?
Was his dad still alive?
Yes. His dad didn't die until we were in California.
Oh.
It was right after Kitty was born.
So Kitty's born in California?
Yes.
In Fullerton?
She what?
It was Fullerton that you lived in California, right? Fullerton?
We lived in Fullerton, and she was born in I hardly knew the doctor because, you know what I'm like. I don't go to a doctor until I really have to. And
so how many months pregnant were you when you moved to California?
Well, I got pregnant in May, we moved in June.
Wow, okay, so not too far. Now, did you drive to California?
Yes. We traded in the car that we had at my brother Joe's dealership in,
Who cares where it is? So you traded your car, and what kind of car did you get?
we got a Plymouth. And
Was it a new car?
we drove to California.
But wait, just don't say you drove to California. So was it a new car?
No,
Okay, used
it
car.
was another second-hand
So
car.
you stayed at hotels along the way to California?
Yes.
How
we
many
would stay
days?
in motels, like for one night. I would do whatever wash I could, so that I didn't have all these dirty clothes when I got to
But you didn't have any, like, you didn't have any belongings with you?
We
Just your clothes?
We had some furniture, and their moving van, we became part of we became part of the moving vans, since we didn't fill the van, we were just part of some other people's things.
Cargo.
Yeah.
So you
And
did
we
have...
got to California.
Okay, let's not... So did you, like, how many days did it take you to get to California?
A week.
Like, so you could go, like, it was 4 nights, or?
I guess it was 4 nights, 5 nights. We ate along the way. I remember we got a flat tire, and we had to empty out the trunk of the car in order to get to the tire, which that was that they